Salesloft is redefining sales technology. And we're redefining it around people. We're redefining it around the human process of selling. Now we will and we do use AI and technology to do that. And in fact, we were one of the first to ship generative AI capabilities, not announce, but ship AI capabilities in our product. But we fundamentally believe that selling is a human act. It's forming relationships. It's helping buyers strategize about where they're going. It's guiding them. And the technology is there to support them. Selling, in fact, has to be enabled by a modern selling platform. And we have delivered that platform. From structured workflows and cadences, to the voice of the customer in conversation, to deals and forecast and coaching, we've delivered the critical capabilities and brought our partners into this platform. Rhythm orchestrates it all by prioritizing actions using AI based on how important they are to getting to outcomes. And when you have a platform, you can have some things that really help sellers sell, help them use those 2,080 hours. You have integrated workflows so they can work more productively. They're not swivel chairing. They can get the information they need in one place. Your team can operate at enterprise scale in a governed way, and you can get data and AI in the moment when you need it.
At Salesloft, we have been innovating with AI for years, and you can see some of those releases right behind me. But like all game-changing technologies before it, you cannot just slap AI on a product and hope to get the real benefits. You have to fundamentally redesign your product from the ground up to incorporate AI. And that's what we've done. When we launched Rhythm this year, we did it with an entirely new workflow engine, redesigned from the ground up to incorporate AI as a prioritization engine. And that made us the industry's first and only AI-powered workflow platform for sellers. But that is not the only thing we released this year.
In fact, we released over 130 capabilities across that whole platform. And I'm actually going to ask members of the Salesloft product team, of who we have a few in the room, to stand up. Please give them a round of applause. These people have been hustling and shipping and delivering for you. They and all of us care deeply about what you do every day and about making it better and helping you use the tools and technology out there. And I'll show you just a few things that we have delivered. Generative AI for recap and action items, writing conversations. Tracker trends so you can see what's popping across all your customer meetings. Generative AI and cadence emails to help you move quickly and adjust to the market, get new cadences out fast. Salesloft Mobile has been on iOS, now on Android, and it has dark mode. Everybody loves dark mode. Crowd pleaser. And earlier this year, we localized the platform because there are so many global organizations that use Salesloft, and it turns out that people in different countries speak different languages. And they can be more efficient and more effective if they're speaking their own language and the language of their buyers. So let's talk about what we're doing going forward and what we've delivered this year. As David said, we're all in these unpredictable times. And all of you want to create achievable plans that help you win in the market. But it's really hard to do. And sometimes customers ask me, they say, well, what's more important? Is it action or is it insight? Well, as you heard from David, you can see where we landed. We created the first action engine for sales, an AI-enabled action engine that helps sellers see everything they need to do in one place. And we'll deliver that this year in Rhythm. It's informed by insight from buyer signals, from those intent and engagement signals that are so important to get in front of your sellers. And we started with action because we thought that's where the biggest gap was in sales.
When we build product at Salesloft, one of the first things that we do is we go and we watch revenue teams work. You know, I often joke with my wife that I get paid to watch people work. And we do that because it is the only way to deeply understand your problems and challenges. And so what you see right here is what we observed while watching one seller in a 2-hour period at work. These are all the notifications from all of their different sales technologies, all of their communication tools, just bombarding this particular seller in one 2-hour period. And what was happening is the seller was jumping from one application to the next to try to keep up with critical data points in order to make sure that they knew what was going on with their customers. Each time they moved from one place to the next, context switching, it slowed them down. And what's worse, it made it hard to prioritize. And we would go and talk to these sellers, and this pattern, by the way, just repeated at organization after organization after organization. While they saw clear benefits in the solutions that they were using, they told us it felt like they were working for their technology. And what I'm here to tell you is that that is exactly backwards. You should not work for your technology should work for you. And that is why we built Rhythm. Rhythm is a signal-to-action engine. It is the industry's first and only, and it is AI-powered. What that means is we take in all of the communication you have with your buyer from Salesloft and other channels, as well as all of those notifications and indicators from all of your different revenue technology, and we pull it all into one place. Doing that alone just cuts down on all of the context switching, and it speeds up sellers, but we did not stop there. We built a patent-pending proprietary AI engine that we call Conductor AI, and that engine looks at signal strength from all those messages, all of those partner applications, and it uses it to create a prioritized list of actions for your seller, each action aligned to a critical revenue outcome. The result? Sellers get more done in less time, and they're always confident that they know what to do next. It's an absolute game changer. Now, who's ready to see it?
Let's take a look. So we're going to do a live demo of Rhythm because this system is shipping. It's delivered to all Salesloft customers today. This is Rhythm, and what you see at the top is kind of a bird's eye view of what's happening in this particular seller's book of business, the activities, the outcomes, and so on. Because we heard from sellers that with all those notifications, it was too hard to see that. But the real action is in the workflow below. Every single one of these bars is an action for a seller to take, and it's been precipitated by a signal that has come in to this seller. This first action is based on a signal from DocuSign, and DocuSign is telling us that Kylie viewed the contract that we sent them. She has not yet signed it, and we would really like her to. And so that action is up at the top of the workflow. And as you look down this workflow, you see all kinds of different actions. There are even cadence actions in here. Many actions from our partners. We looked at the DocuSign one. G2 is telling us that a buyer that we thought was pretty solid is actually out there looking on our competitor website. That's a good thing to know. We can see engagement signals from Vidyard and from our partners HighSpot and Seismic. All of those in one workflow prioritized by how important they are to the seller's business. Now let's take a look at this second action here. This is an action to respond to Dylan Jones. And when we click in, you'll see a couple of things happen. One, that workflow shows up on the side, so we can see where we're going. Two, I've now got an email queued up right in the middle of my screen to send back to this buyer. Now, the explainability of this particular action is that that buyer just got back to me and we're in an email exchange. Of course, I could see that if I went to my email, but it's hard for sellers to go to all these different places. As they're working in Rhythm, they can see that the buyer responded right there, and because this is a big deal, it's popped to the top of the list. That is very cool, and it's very different from how most sellers operate today. Now, I could send this email, but if I want a little bit more context, you'll see in the background, Rhythm has taken me to the place where I can best get context on this particular action. And this is the opportunity page for this opportunity. I can see how big it is. I can see all the different things that have happened. This is a big deal, and it's closing soon. So it's important for me to be extremely responsive to this buyer. Now, if you look at our next action on the right-hand side, this one's a little bit different. It's a meeting follow-up action. Now, how many of you believe it's a best practice for sellers to follow up on every single meeting that they have with a buyer? All right. How many of you are 100% confident that that is happening every single time? No. Well, if you're using Salesloft now, every time your sellers have a meeting with a buyer, a follow-up action is put into their Rhythm workflow. And you can see there's a template there for this follow-up, and there are even action items in there. These are the same action items that we're using AI to pull off of the last conversation. I mean, think about how responsive this makes your sellers look. Paying attention to what's been said, being prepared, being prompt on a follow-up. And in fact, we can go back and review that very conversation that we had that those action items came from. And if you go into our conversations product, you'll see all kinds of information there about who was talking when and so on, so you can review the exact moment of that conversation. And in just a few minutes, I've been able to take two of the most important actions in my workflow. And if we go back and look at that workflow, we'll send this follow-up because we're a good seller. We always send our follow-ups. Let's go back and look at that whole workflow. You see all kinds of actions in here. Early funnel, prospecting actions, middle funnel, closing actions like that one from DocuSign. This is game-changing for sellers. And Rhythm is a best practices machine that helps you support sellers in those best practices and also make sure that they're happening so that you can execute on the business that you have.
Now, what's most important here is what we hear from customers, from all of you, because that's really why we build everything that you see here. At Salesloft, what we care about ultimately are outcomes. This is why we build things for you. It's about outcomes. We judge our product success on outcomes. And what I'm happy to announce is that for Rhythm customers, they are seeing 23%, that's 23% better meeting outcomes. And that is true whether you are an SDR, an AE, or a CSM. More meetings means more opportunities to build pipeline, close deals, and renew revenue. That is awesome. That is absolutely awesome. We are fanatical about outcomes at Salesloft, and that means we are tying every single aspect of our platform to outcomes. Things like sales cycle time and win rates. So expect to see more and more of this from us as we go forward. It turns out, when you deliver outcomes for your customers, you start to hear things like this. Cadence is prospecting and Rhythm is making money. I smile every time I read that. This is exactly why we build for you. We know how hard your job is, and this is exactly what we want to hear. Now, what's awesome is customers are not the only people that are excited about Rhythm, so are our partners.
And today I'm very excited to announce a few new Rhythm partners. We are announcing a number of new partners: LeadIQ, Influ2, GetAccept, B2B Brain, Trumpet, Equilar, and Hippo Video. And all of these partners join the partners that launched with us, the ones that you saw in that demo, like Highspot and Seismic, and the partners we announced a few weeks ago in London. And there are more partners that we're working with because we know that every single company looks at intent and engagement differently, needs a different tool set. That's partly why we built Rhythm as an open ecosystem to get all of that signal, all of that insight into one place for your sellers. So with that, I'm excited to actually bring up the CEO and founder of one of our partners, Mei Xiao from LeadIQ. Thanks for coming up. Mei, thanks for being a partner.
Thank you. I'm very excited and honored to be here today to unveil our new partnership and integration with Salesloft Rhythm.
That's great. Can you tell us a little bit about why you're excited about the partnership?
Salesloft and LeadIQ, we have been partners for years at the forefront of leading sales teams to achieve more. And we are helping hundreds of our common customers, businesses like yours, to be able to achieve more. And Salesloft Rhythm partnership will allow us to enable actions to signals and insights. We are excited to show you more.
That's great. And so why is buyer intent signal so important for sellers today?
So in the world of pipeline development, outbound pipeline development and prospecting, the traditional way has been building a list of target accounts and target prospects, and then executing a cold calling and cold emailing campaign. And sellers continue doing that until they get meetings. This used to work really well, really efficiently, but now times have changed. With the recent increase in email volume and call volume, what used to work really well now doesn't work as efficiently as before. Many of you may have heard as well, Google recently announced a new change in their bulk email volume limit. There's a certain volume that you have to get within, and there's a certain spam rate that you have to stay below as well. So all of this require outbound team to be a lot more strategic in your approach. And the way to do that, in order for your teams to be able to be successful to unlock your outbound pipeline development, requires three things. First is you need to identify the right targets, prospect the right target accounts using signals. These signals could be website visit, it could be past champions just changing jobs, it could be any predictive insights to AI modeling, such as what Ali has shown in some of the partners there. But not only having these signals is important, the second part is that the ability to activate and enable your reps to action on it at the right time. And the third part is the automation to help you to act on it more efficiently as well. If you can execute on these three things, back to the criticality of buyer signals, that's the way you'll be able to continue doing outbound pipeline development more efficiently. The new norm for outbound pipeline development would be strategy and precision.
Couldn't agree more. Thank you so much for coming up. Thanks for being at Rhythm Partner.
Okay, thank you,
Thanks
Ali.
to all the Rhythm partners. So now we're going to take a look at what some of those new partner intent and engagement signals look like. So with these new signals, when you come into Rhythm, you'll see new kinds of action based on them. Let's zoom in to see what's in here. So there's a few new kinds of signals here. From Lead IQ, you can see that a past champion has moved. You might want to reach out. Lean data is telling us that a webinar that we know is a really high-performing campaign has a new lead, and we want the seller to act and follow up on that. Get Accept is telling us that yet another buyer, Dennis, has been in our digital sales room multiple times. So that's somebody you might want to reach out to. And finally, User Gems is telling us that there's a new executive at an account that we're prospecting to. So these are all interesting and important signals, prioritized, of course, by Conductor AI. Let's jump into the first flow and see what it looks like. So as we click into that Lead IQ signal, again, you see an email come up asking us to go ahead and reach out to this past champion. And let's zoom in and see what we might want to say. Hey, congratulations on your role. We built a lot of value before. You're probably at this new company because they want you to build the same kind of value. Let's see if we can work together. Sometimes customers ask me, hey, how can you help us see around corners? This is seeing around corners. This is seeing an opportunity before it even exists and acting on it in hours or even minutes. Really excited to get those intent and engagement signals into Rhythm. I hope many of you are using our Rhythm partners, and if not, check them out. We have lots more partners coming onto the platform next year as well.